Morning, everyone. Hi, Tanya. And this is for everyone. Tanya, specifically, we've talked about expenses just a minute ago with Diane, and I know we look at the still discretionary earnings. We look at the tax returns. We extract some of these expenses for like personal one-time expenses as well. But are there any hidden expenses in the back of the tax return that we could pull back into SDE at all? I heard that there are some items that, from time to time you can actually dig into the tax return and you could probably extract some additional money into the SDE. Is that true?
Well, that's a little more complicated. So again, it goes back to what kind of tax return is it? Are you talking C corp, S corp,
Y-
partnership? So what kind
It's
of
a part,
return is
yeah,
it?
it's an LLC, for example, in this instance.
Filing a 1065 or
Yes,
filing as an S corp?
as an S corp.
Okay, so they're filing an 1120S. And so what happens with an 1120S is that the some of the items that you would normally add back, like sometimes depreciation, um, will not end up on line 13. I think it's 13 on your 1120S. Instead, it'll be on the K1. But
Got
the
it.
problem is if it wasn't subtracted out, you cannot add it back.
Oh, mm.
So if it's on the K1, but it didn't get subtracted out on
Oh,
the 1120S, then if you start adding things back that were never subtracted out, you are going to be way inflating the value of that business.
got it.
So
Okay.
it's very, yeah, it's a dicey thing. It'd be very
Are there
careful.
are there anything is there anything in the tax return that's hidden that's not like, under income and expenses that could be brought back in if you start digging through the return?
I don't generally, um, I generally don't.
Okay.
Okay, because I really just don't want to get into the weeds on that. What I will look at it, any federal statement that's referenced on the 1120S or the 1120 or 1065, anything that says C statement, whatever, I will go back to those statements because oftentimes you could find things on those statements.
Got
Now,
it.
on the 1125A, which is your cost of goods sold breakdown, sometimes you'll find I found additional depreciation in that 1125A section.
Okay.
So there are some things in there.
Okay.
I'm trying to think what else, but yeah, if you, I've seen problems where brokers have tried to take things off of the Schedule K and Schedule L, and
Yeah.
bring those in and add those back, and it's just like, no, you're really messing up your numbers at that point.
It's good to be aware of that because if I do come across it in the future, to be aware of that they brought it back in and they shouldn't have, because that would actually really inflate the value.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
It inflates the value. Yeah.
Yeah, so long as it's not in the front part of the income and expenses of the tax return, and if they were extracted from the Schedule Ks, etc., then be mindful of that.
One thing I had happen to me just recently was the tax return expensed the owner's son, who wasn't going to be there and didn't do anything, into the cost of goods. And that was a huge thing because he was getting 70,000 a year for that little company. Just to move it into the other category was a huge thing.
Yeah.
It made it more profitable. It gave it more, a lot more value. So you need to know your finance. You need to know how to read them, and you need to drill down, make sure they're right. I
Dick,
mean,
where
Yeah.
did you say you found it? Where was that hidden?
what do you
Cost
mean?
of goods. That in the cost of goods. So probably in your direct labor of cost of goods, which would be on your 1125A.
Got it.
That's right. I don't know the numbers like you do, Tanya, but it was definitely expensed as cost of labor when it should have been really literally owner compensation, really, because even though they didn't break it out as owner compensation, you have to kind of know who's not going to be there and what they do. And you can then take those out of your line items, I think. I think you can, that's going to be part of your research, but you have to really know how to read these things a little bit. So
Yeah.
you know what to take out.
Tanya, I have a question on
Yeah.
that. Isn't there like a questionnaire that you would give to the owner or the seller and like, is there a template questionnaire about like what they do with their business and what expenses they personally take out?
No, that's
Um,
different.
no. I mean, I don't have it. I don't send it to them in a questionnaire format. What I typically do is I'll look at the tax returns. I have a worksheet, a spreadsheet that I plug numbers into. And, first of all, when I get a set of tax returns, I'll open it up and let's say it's 87 pages or 67 pages. So that's federal and state and all that. And so what I want is the 1120S or 1120 or 1065, whatever that first page is. And then I want anything that says see statement 1, see statement 3, see statement 9. Okay. So I want those federal statements and I'll print, 2 to 3 pages, which is that first page and then the federal statement pages. And I'll just go through with a highlighter and highlight certain things. And then, I plug things into my spreadsheet. And based on that, after I've got the 3 years in there, I look for inconsistencies. I look for anything else that I've highlighted on the federal statements to ask them about, and then I'll call them up. Or I'll send them an email and say, okay, I see that you have continuing education. And so what portion of continuing education, it seems pretty high, what portion of continuing education would be not necessary for the successful operation of the business? Or what portion of the continuing education would be personal in nature or not related to the business, whatever, and let them tell me that. Because sometimes you have people paying their kids college tuition and then putting it down as categorizing it as continuing education. And it is, but it's really not for the business, right? So doing it that way, I'm very specific. I ask them about specific expense categories. If they know, they let me know. And if they don't, then they forward that. If I've done it in email. So if I have a conversation with them and ask them, sometimes they say, I don't know. I say, okay, I'll send you an email. You can forward it to your accountant. And then they forward it to their accountant. Their CPA comes back and gives us the answers. So, or their bookkeeper, or
do you
whomever.
have, can you recommend a type of spreadsheet to use that we have in CAB or anything to decipher that type of information so that we're comprehensive?
Yeah, I mean, the CAB SDE worksheet.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah, you can use that.
Okay.
Yeah. That